You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast for another IPL reaction show. We've got 4 games this weekend featuring a stunning Will Jack century, a win for Rajasthan, and the most boring cricket match of all time as Chennai did their Chennai thing over about 4 hours and 70,000 seconds to beat Sunrisers Hyderabad. How do you make a team like Sunrisers Hyderabad boring? What you do is you take them to Chepauk, drag it out over 4 hours, make them lose by 100 runs. Actually, I'm quite enthusiastic about this show. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about. Not least that Will Jack's ton. We'll get into that in a moment. But before we do, we'll introduce everyone. I'm Jack. I'm joined by Ross. How you doing, Ross?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. It's my beautiful pink boys go marching on. They overcome Lucknow, which will devour shortly. And it was the return of Amit Mishra. So there we go. Very exciting times when a person who looks like they've had one too many doses gets drafted in as an impact player. So welcome back, Amit Mishra, to the IPL.
And Max Rowe Brown. Beat that, Max.
Hello. I came back from Sheffield today. I went to the Crucible yesterday to see the World Championship snooker because that's how exciting I am. And now I'm back talking about the slightly more exciting sport where you hit balls around.
Well, here's a question for snooker. Like, when you actually go and watch it live, what do you think about while it's happening?
Well, you get like the commentary earpieces.
Okay.
So like you're sort of listening along to that. So a lot of what I was thinking was quite similar to watching cricket, actually, which is what the fuck are these guys talking about?
Okay.
That's a bad miss.
Stephen Hendry sounded hungover when he started commentary on the Saturday morning. Like, literally didn't know where he was. And then when they switched over to the other game, it was literally just the same 3 cliches over and over again. Like, it really was like watching the IPL in a way.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got to experience that. Before we get going, make sure you click like and subscribe if you are over on YouTube. We went past 16,000 subscribers, so well done us on another lifetime accomplishment. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, why don't you do the same? Click follow, and maybe we'll get another lifetime achievement from that. Max, let's do the game that we just watched first, because then we don't have to talk about it later.
Sure. So CSK SRH standard blueprint. Obviously, Gaikwad is back. He's had a bit of a slowish start to the tournament, but he's fully rolling now. Back at the top of the order, 98 or 54. He built on a reasonable start for CSK. Really got things motoring in the middle overs. Daryl Mitchell chipped in with a useful 50. Which is nice for him to have actually contributed with the bat. And Shivam Dubé did what Shivam Dubé does. He came in and he hit sixes because that's his job and he's good at it. 212 for 3. It kind of snuck up on you, the 212 for 3. It never really looked like it was going that quickly. And then before you knew it, CSK had broken the 200 mark, and you're like, oh, this looks like a pretty tricky chase at the Chepauk, even for Sunrisers. And so it proved, because Tushar Deshpande, the taker of wickets, took out both Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma, and we got our third, I think, IPL Impact Player Golden Duck of the season. Great, you love to see that. And from that point on, it was over. Unfortunately, we still had to sit through the rest of it. So that took about an hour. It still took until after 7 o'clock UK time for the game to finish, even though there was more than an over left to bowl. So I'm not sure how that happened. The only other interesting thing, or perhaps the only interesting thing from that Sunrisers chase, was that Daryl Mitchell took 5 catches, which is the joint record in the IPL and in T20 cricket, but shared with Mohammed Nabi, of all people.
The president.
I thought that Will Jacks had done it as well.
He has done it, yes.
Did you say that?
But that wasn't. I don't think that was the IPL. I think that was the.
Oh,
PS.
okay. Yeah. All right.
BPL?
Well, that doesn't count, does it?
One of the Ls.
Yeah. One of the Ls.
Quite a few people have done it in T20, but only twice in the IPL.
Cool. Well, let's start with the big question for you, Ross. Is it over for Sunrisers? Have the wheels come off?
I think you can lose one game or two games of T20 cricket, and because they've been pretty good so far this season. We said on the last show that I wasn't quite sure if they were picking their best team, and that the makeup of their team kind of let them down, I think, a little bit today. And yeah, just sometimes shit happens, especially when you're in the Sunrisers franchise, unfortunately. So yeah, by no means are they down and out. Are they? Are they still sitting fourth on net run rate in that space? They've got a game in hand, haven't they, over a couple of the other teams who are on 10 points. So I don't think this is a moment for Sunrisers fans to get too upset at, because how many people go to the Cheapawk and turn up or go away with a victory? Not too many. And it was a pretty, ruthless performance by CSK after a couple of really quite troubling performances for CSK. So Max, your lovely lemon men, how are they? Are you nice and confident now that the ship has been kind of set on the right course again?
It was, I don't know how many times we can say that it was classic CSK in the Cheapawk, because I mean, it was really, wasn't it? Banging the ball into the pitch, taking the pace off in the middle, and SRH didn't really have an answer to that, given that they'd lost the early wickets. It's nice to see them going back to what they do best, I think, because, like we said, over the last few weeks, there was a question about whether they knew what their best team was. Shivam Dubé was back at 4, doing what he does best. MS Dhoni came in for his cursory 2 balls at the end to hit a boundary, and it was more of what had been successful for CSK this time out. But I mean, you also can't really legislate for Deshpande just rocking up with 4 wickets, even though he actually did it quite a lot last year. So maybe this is the thing.
Maybe we should be.
Maybe we should be
legislating.
Yeah, maybe we should be expecting Deshpande to take lots of wickets, but quite expensively.
He's one of those guys, isn't he? Who's your eyes are telling you this guy's a pie chucker, but now that he's done it for a season and a half or more, maybe our eyes are wrong.
Maybe the eye test isn't all it's cracked up to be.
The fact that they've got 2 of them as well in Shardul Thakur, like that is also like they're literally turning up with these 2 guys. You're just like, are they really elite level cricketers? And yet they still come away with wickets, whether they play for India or whether they play for CSK.
Max,
the other big question. Oh, I've got a big question though.
No,
when it comes to Gaikwad, you said in your opening monologue that he is back and he is now the orange cap holder. I think he's taken over from Virat. Might be very, very close. This innings was pretty special, right? Is he going to be the person who is going to open up for India in the upcoming World Cup? Do we think off the back of these performances?
That is a big question. I don't think so, because Rohit's the captain still, so that's one place sorted. And I mean, you've got quite a few people who'll be vying for that spot as well, won't you? So I think it's hard. It's hard to see, but I think it's definitely there's a sense as well from Dhoni handing over the captaincy to Gaikwad. Rohit will retire in the near future. You will expect. Then there's going to be a captaincy spot and an opening spot waiting to be taken, and Gaikwad should be aiming for that. I think that's
so you're saying he's going to get his little passport out and he's going to be travelling to the World Cup. He's going to be part of the team.
No.
He's not.
He's also you've given him the purple cap there orange cap.
Orange cap,
mixed up. Orange cap when he's 53 runs off first place. So that's you've been generous on that, and you've given him an opening spot for India. Based on this, that's 2 big gifts. I haven't given.
I asked the question. The
answer for me is no. Partly
my
because...
answer is worse than that. I hate you, Ross. You're guy called agenda.
We've spoken about it before, right? The size of the squad you get to take is silly. So I mean, your replacements are going to have to be a wicketkeeper and some bowlers, and then maybe one batter. Gaikwad's not going to be that guy because possibly doesn't, I guess isn't well rounded enough to fill too many different roles, and just there's probably too much competition for places. But 2-3 years down the line, I reckon there's a spot for him being the main 50.
Man. He won't be 50, will he? He's 27 now. I don't think he's ever going to be a mainstay for India. But personally, no? I think that I think we've seen the direction that the IPL and T20 cricket is travelling in this tournament, and I don't
You think he's
think
going to lose the arms race?
so. He's already lost the arms race. Like he's a good player, really good player. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I'm saying you can't have another Gaikwad, like another one of these Gaikwad type players in the India team. Like there's no room for them. Like you need what Abhishek is bringing. I don't know. In this, this is not the best game to talk about these two players because of their two performances and the performances of their respective teams. But Abhishek is the future, not Gaikwad, and Jaiswal is the future, not Gaikwad. And they might not bring the volume of runs, but they bring the speed of runs, and that's really what you need. And it's not like they're not bringing like a decent volume themselves, but they're like ultimately here, like Gaikwad, he's got 447 runs this year, a century, and a really good score here. So he's made some massive contributions to this side. But he's still striking at just 150 in a year where the strike rate in the IPL is above that. Like it's it's good. It's good bulk runs and it's good stability that he's bringing, but it's just not as valuable as people think. I mean, like this season of all seasons is not the season to look at the orange cap and be like, that's the best batter. Like none of the guys in the top 5 or 6 or 7. Like, look, let me read them out to you: Virat Kohli, Gaikwad, Sai Sudarshan, Sanju Samson, KL Rahul. Are any of them the best player in the IPL? No. Are any of them the best batter this season in the IPL? Answer is also no. They have got the most runs, and I understand that runs are the currency that the game is, you use to win the game. But let's be real about what it means to be an India player here. Like those guys aren't there. Those guys aren't it.
There is still space.
One of them is, and that's a problem. But
there is still space for some security of runs. Even though we're seeing strike rates go through the roof, there's still space for some of it, right? Like someone in there.
Pick Jaiswal if you want to do that. He basically does that, except he scores 10 runs per 100 balls quicker. And I know over the 8 games or whatever he's played this year, that might not be the case, but he's better. Like, so pick him. Don't pick.
You could pick them both.
Slow guy just because he plays for CSK and CSK are popular.
Gaikwad, Jaiswal, Abhishek.
I don't even know why we're having this conversation.
Ross asked the question.
I've really enjoyed this trip down a little weird lane. Let's get back to it because speaking of slow men, Daryl Mitchell actually decided to hit some runs, Max. So you must be very, very happy that the big purchase at the mini auction actually came off today with 5 big catches and a very handy contribution with the bat.
Yeah, it's been a while coming, hasn't it, for Daryl? I was questioning whether it was time that they gave someone else a go, but I suppose you look at what the options are and you think that there isn't really another viable option, right? I mean, Samir Rizvi's had a couple of goes further down the order and not really done anything, and then aside from that, it would be throwing in some real untested talent. So I mean, we know Daryl Mitchell's a very good player, so I suppose they just stick with him and eventually he'll come good, and he has, but he still needs to do a bit more for CSK because that middle order is very reliant on Shivam Dubey at the moment, or Gaikwad not getting out early. So it's
a good guy to rely on, Dubey.
Yeah,
Dubey. He's
one man can't do it all.
He's in the top 10 run scorers, 350 runs at 172. Like that's leagues ahead of some of the other players on that list.
Yeah, I mean the thing about Shivam Dubey is how much of his runs come in dealing in sixes, right? I mean that's the
best thing to deal in.
Yeah, it's the best thing you can do. It's the best way to score runs in the middle overs.
Tell me about it. Ross knows all about me and my potential to hit sixes.
Oh, it took 14 minutes for you to mention it. I had 30 seconds on my bingo card.
No, I'm not gonna get into my game-winning exploits.
Jack hit is like 7th all-time 6th of the weekend. That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Then I hit my 8th the next ball, and then we won. But I think, generally speaking, stories about amateur cricket are a bit boring, particularly when told by the person who neglected the doing. Is there anything from this game that we actually want to talk about? Now that
No, that's why we've gone
mentioned
off
the
of this
City of
little
the Catches?
tangent. If I'm
Yeah,
perfectly
it was
honest.
boring, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
CSK
you know,
batted
fair play
well.
CSK.
CSK batted well, and then it was over after 2 overs. And
They did a good job. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from CSK. I'm just saying it was one of those games that you see sometimes where
yeah,
there's not that much to talk about. A
do
guy taking
SRH have a
5
problem
catches.
chasing? That's the other question people are asking now because they've lost a couple of games chasing. Is there an issue with them?
SRH have a problem with getting out, and that's gonna be SRH's problem. But I don't.
Yeah.
I think with these things, like when random stuff happens in cricket, which happens all the time, you know, like them being bowled out for 134 or the game before, we shouldn't be massively changing our baseline opinions of the
No,
teams.
agreed.
I think we mainly think that Sunrisers are quite good, and we think that they've got an extremely high ceiling when it does click. And what we've seen is it not click a couple of times in a row, and that
Yeah,
happens.
and the way they play
like this.
basically lends itself to that, doesn't it? No, I
Yeah,
totally agree.
and
And,
it's-
also, like the chasing point is kind of like they lost a game chasing to KKR when they nearly pulled off an unbelievable chase, and should have
Mhm.
done arguably. And they've lost chasing to CSK at the Chapok, which almost everyone does. And there was one blip against RCB, wasn't there? But
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sucks. But RCB, they're on the march, and we're going to
They
talk about
are.
them in a minute. We're going to take a break, then we're going to come
Not
back.
before
and
I ask a key question.
Go on. Oh,
What
God,
has happened
it's
to
still
Raul
going.
Tripathi? What has happened to Tripathi? Is he alive? Why is he nowhere near this SRH team?
well, he did play a few weeks ago when I was like, "Why aren't they playing Tripathi? He's not that bad."
was
And then he played, and
awful.
he was fucking terrible. And then he
Yeah.
hasn't played
That's
since.
what- I
That's
think
why
what happened. He just got bad.
he's gone. He's
Um,
broken. He's done.
We'll
He's got
be
the-
we'll be back. We'll be back in a minute to talk RCB.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast, where we're rushing through some games in the IPL. Next up, we've got the Gujarat Titans v RCB, Royal Challengers Bengaluru. Max, here's a stat before you do the summary. This is the first game in the history of the IPL where the batter's average over the game has been above 100. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? 406 runs, 4 wickets. And, it's another pointless record that has been broken. Summarise it.
Ah, the list goes on. Yes, it was Gujarat Titans against RCB at Ahmedabad. Gujarat batted first and got off to a predictably average start. Actually, it wasn't even average. It wasn't very good at all. But Sai Siddharthan at number 3 and Shahrukh Khan got things going. 84 or 49 for Sai Siddharthan. Another good innings for him. He's having a pretty decent IPL, albeit not as fast as some, but he's scoring runs. And Shahrukh Khan, who's had a bit of a barren period, but came back nicely with a 50, undone by a very good tailing in Mohammad Siraj Yorker, just finding something to show off in time as people start to question who's going to make the plane for the India squad. 200 for 3. 3 wickets down, 200. I mean, it's a decent score. It's not great by the standards of the IPL this year, apparently, but it's at Ahmedabad. Sometimes it's not that easy to bat there. 200 seems reasonable, especially against a team like RCB. Jack thinks no.
I'll explain later.
But you're
why.
being, I don't know if that's the tail wagging the dog, Jack.
No.
But, well, I mean, it always looks like RCB were going to chase it down fairly comfortably. They were going at 10 and over. Virat Kohli, 70 or 44 to open things up. And I mean, they were going along pretty comfortably. And it all looked like it was going to be a fairly comfortable chase. And then Will Jacks exploded. It was like a wind-up toy where you just finally let it go. There was 20 odd balls of him just finding his groove while you twisted the thing and got it ratcheting up, and then you let him go. What was it? 64 off 13 balls?
I think
Yeah,
it
pretty
was.
much-
It
pretty
might
much
have been.
Just playing the slog sweep, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was going so far. Rashid Khan, Noor Ahmed, some of the best spinners in the IPL? Nah, see you later. Off you go into the crowd. Mohit Sharma dealt some blows as well. It was sometimes it's quite hard to summarize how good something was, because this was like another level of hitting. It just entered into basically, he entered into some mode of striking that I think the only other person we've seen do is probably Fraser McGurk so far this year, because
I don't think so. I think it's better than that.
You think it's better than that?
I think this was the best hitting I've ever seen anyone pull off from when he started to go. So I think over his last 13 balls, I believe this is what happened: 6, 6, 4, 6, 6, dot 4, 6, 2, 6, 6, 4, 6. That's mad. That's absolutely mad. It might have been the other way around. I might have written that down in the incorrect order. So that might be.
Dot ball's a real shame, isn't it? Really?
That dot ball is a real shame, but it was absolutely bonkers. He basically did, over the course of 12 balls, he basically did what Rinku Singh did to, was it Yash Dayal last season twice, but to better bowlers. Like Mohit's a good bowler. Noor Ahmed's a good bowler. Rashid Khan is maybe the best bowler in T20 cricket. Like it's him and Bumrah in the conversation, isn't it? It didn't matter. Like this guy was, and he wasn't just like, he wasn't like clipping it over the boundary or doing it at the Chinnaswamy. He was doing it at a proper dimensioned cricket ground and hitting it like 100 meters. Like you couldn't see the ball land. There was one ball he hit it so far I accidentally spat on my laptop. I was just like, what's going on here? That spell of hitting, I don't think you'll be lucky to see anything like that again. 10 balls it took him to go from 50 to 100. So he was striking at 5 runs a ball.
That's outrageous. Right.
It's
we told you Will Jacks was good.
I'm not, and that's not to say, to go back to what you were saying, that's not to say what Fraser McGurk has been doing isn't spectacular as well. Like that's obviously amazing. But I think in a tournament where we've seen loads of people go bonkers, that spell of bonkers was noticeably more bonkers than all of the other bonkers stuff that we've seen. Like genuinely incredible and amazing that they think Cameron Green was a better player than him for the first 5 matches of the tournament.
Yeah, well, they're all playing now, aren't they? Maxwell, Green, Will Jacks. I mean, and if they all got going, it would actually be frightening. Like Virat Kohli's been making some really fast starts in the power play this year. I think the best thing for RCB in terms of them building innings is for Virat Kohli to get out on exactly the 30th ball of the innings, so that then someone else can come in and start smashing the ball around when Virat Kohli starts slowing down. Like Faf's been okay; he's been getting things off to a fast start, and then if Glenn Maxwell now he's back having can actually score some runs, and Cameron Green can do what we know he can do. Suddenly, like that RCB batting order looks as terrifying as Sunrisers. Apart from
it's okay, I think, isn't it?
Someone else has to have a go. But it could, it could be up there, right?
They're better at batting than they are at bowling.
Well, that's
that is what I'd say. And like obviously, Will Jacks is a good player. I think most people knew that before RCB picked him, and like what he did today won't absolutely have blown people's minds. He hasn't just walked off the street. He hit 121 balls once. Like it's not. That sort of thing. It's in his locker.
But the IPL is a different arena, Jack. The IPL.
No, I know it is, but like they're still professional cricketers and so on. Yeah. Can I, Ross? I think this is where we'll get the best out of you. So let's move on to Gujarat Titans and their batting. Max, I strongly thought that this was a bad score. 203. I thought so, and the reasons for this: one,
when you've only lost
three wickets,
you do feel like this,
massive telltale
out there, right?
Massive telltale when you've only lost 3 wickets. Second thing, nobody striking above 200 in that lineup, so it wasn't like a mad dash. Everyone's played a pretty controlled innings, and nobody's really gone bonkers. Third, Sai Sudarshan is the one who does most of the damage, 84 or 49 for him. And again, this is a good innings, but of all of the guys in the IPL to hit 200 plus runs this year, and there are quite a lot, we're looking at 30, maybe 40 names, he is the slowest batter. And if the slowest batter is the one that's faced all the balls, and that's how you've got to your score, the slowest batter, like really in the IPL. And to top it off, even fucking Shahrukh Khan is getting runs. You know that's a pretty good pitch.
Well, that's
and you know that 200 might not be enough. Like there are a few red flags, as you know. If I'm sitting here, if they got 200 and Rahul Tewatia had come in and got 30 off 8 balls at the end, I'd have been like, yeah, that's a good score, and that contains a freak innings. But nobody's done anything particularly good there.
David Miller didn't finish it in the way that you'd hope he would either. I mean, that's not helped. 26 off 19 is not what you're after there.
Yeah. So Ross, what do you think? Slow Darson?
I do, yes. Slow Darson. That's a nice one. It's also against this RCB bowling lineup. It's a garbage bowling lineup, right? When it comes to it, and they literally they what I read of this is that Shahrukh Khan was playing for his IPL future. That's how I read this innings. It was kind of like, do you know what? I'm going to be able to not take that many risks. I'm going to show people I actually can hit some runs and play cricket, and do it at the IPL in the Modi Dome. And I just thought it was quite selfish, actually, from a team that hasn't been very selfish before. So this Gujarat team they are going off course, and it's not looking good for them at this point in time. I don't think they need to wise up a little bit when you have Tewatia and Rashid Khan still in the hutch at the end of your T20. That is a problem. That is a problem. Poor calculations. And then look at the other side, right? They won with 24 balls left. That's an absolute monster of a victory for RCB, and RCB have been the worst team by a long distance in this tournament so far. So poor.
I don't know. I actually think Gujarat are in the shout for worst team. I know that's not the most popular opinion on this podcast among the three of us, but I think they're pretty crap. Gujarat. I wasn't stunned this happened to them. Like, I think there's a lot of iffy players in that team.
Do you know who wasn't an iffy player today? Virat Kohli.
He was great.
He literally not completely changed, but had a plan to score off spinners. And you knew that when going into this game, he knew he was going to be targeted by Sai Kishore, Noor Ahmed, Rashid Khan, and he got the sweep shot out. And boy, can he play the sweep shot. And he was very, very effective on it. He didn't slow down. And he was animated. He was there. He likes hitting runs at the Modi Dome. And it was a really, really strong performance from Virat. And it's unfortunate for RCB that they are kind of out of the tournament, really, because they've stumbled across a bit of a winning formula at the moment. And if only they'll be looking back on this tournament with a lot of what ifs and a lot of if onlys. We had done something a little bit different a little bit earlier on.
I thought Kohli was excellent. I think that's the probably the best I've seen him bat in a T20 for a while. And I think what you were saying, Ross, about how he took down the spinners with that sweep shot was the point of difference between this Kohli, or today Kohli, and some of the other Kohlis that we've seen even in this IPL. I mean, if I could play a sweep shot like that, it'd be the only shot I ever played. I mean, where's he been keeping that? It's an absolute monster. And I like, he's the best player to have as a reaction guy at the other end when Will Jacks was going bananas. Like Virat Kohli, he has the best facial expressions for cricket, and
his celebration of the 50s,
smiling and laughing.
Let alone the 100.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what what their strike rate was and their average was off of playing sweep shots, RCB, because Will Jacks just kept on playing the song sweep into the fucking universe, and Virat Kohli's kept on finding the boundary. So it was an absolute shellacking. So well done, RCB, and Rickon, who is part of our Patreon. That victory was for you because you've suffered so much.
Yeah, Kohli went off on one after the game as well, didn't he? Talking about strike rate and having a go at commentators and people who hadn't been there. And then lost me a little bit when he started talking about all the games he'd won.
You're bottom of the league, mate.
It was good to see. I like Kohli ticking. Animated Kohli. I like,
that's when he's at his best.
Look, you want Kohli playing big innings and scoring quickly because he is a great player to watch. Like, he's a fantastic batter to watch when he's in full flow, and he absolutely was today. 2, him reacting to stuff. I would watch Kohli just react to things You know, like there goes a dog that he quite likes. What face is he going to pull? That sort of thing. Just constant Kohli reactions. So great work from Kohli on that. And then 3, angry run at the end of the game. It was the
reminded
Kohli
me.
trilogy.
I like that. It reminded me when do you remember when Dennis Ramdin, the West Indian player, responded to
Got
some
the piece of paper out.
Yeah, he just like, said to talk now. I think it was Viv Richards had kind of criticised him. He goes and does that. So yeah, any animation, any aggression, and any drama, we are here for, especially if it's from Virat.
Yeah. Anything else on this game? Well played, RCB. Yeah, official podcast seal of approval, I think. But we can move on because we've still got 2 matches to cover, plus Championship Corner, plus some previews. So we've got a big second half of this show to pull off. Cool. Nothing. We're moving on.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast for part 3 of our IPL reaction show. We're going to move on to yesterday, where Lucknow Super Giants were beaten by Ross's favourite team in the universe, the Rajasthan Royals. Can you quickly summarise what happened, Ross?
Yep, I sure can. Trent Boult started out and he quickly dismissed Quinton de Kock after a couple of nice little boundaries that he'd hit. And then he got rid of, then Sandeep Sharma turned up. He got rid of Marcus Stoinis, the hero last time out for Lucknow, but unfortunately a 0 for him, which tells you all you need to know about Marcus Stoinis, doesn't it? A brilliant match, blistering century followed by a pretty much a first ball duck, and then a little bit of a rebuild from KL Rahul and Deepak Hooda, but it was slow going, and it was that point where there was always going to be a little bit difficult to kind of catch up again. They consolidated for a little bit too long, and then once they started going through the gears, they realized actually they could hit some quick runs, but it was a too little too late, and they posted kind of 196, and that was never going to be enough against this Rajasthan Royals team because Jaiswal was in great nick, Butler's in great nick, Sanju Samson is in great nick, and they've got the reborn Rian Parag in the lineup as well as Jarrell, and they kind of all combined, but mainly at the hands of Samson and Jarrell, and what was a pretty easy victory for Rajasthan Royals. Again, showed the kind of the averageness of this kind of bowling lineup from Lucknow, and we even had a return for Amit Mishra that I kind of highlighted earlier in the show. When you're bringing in kind of a 50-year-old spinner, you know that you're not really going to do the business. So it was, Did
a little celebration as well, didn't he? Pointing to his name on the back of his shirt. What was that all about?
Well, because people had forgotten he even existed, right? Oh, only the 5th highest wicket taker in the IPL turns up
bowling.
Yeah, who's that? So turns up, might as well with one of those swimming rubber rings wrapped around underneath his shirt, and he was sitting there going, "Do you know what? Why is this dude even here?" So it was quite a really good performance from Rajasthan again. I think Sanju Samson is really, really knocking on the door. We talked about Gaikwad earlier, and Jack, you saying that, do you know what, out of the best players in the IPL, I think Samson is in the conversation this year. He is leading from the front for Rajasthan Royals, and it's heartwarming is the way I see it for Sanju Samson. He is a selfless cricketer, and he's played a bunch of different styles of innings this year. And I think that is what you really need in a captain and in a leader. And I think that kind of versatility is what's really helping Rajasthan this year. So, yeah, another good win for my beautiful pink boys. And Lucknow, unfortunately, just not good enough to challenge the big boys.
Samson is having a great year. 385 runs, striking at 161. He's only been out 5 times. He's always batting at the end. Always make sure the job gets done, does Sanju Samson. And Rajasthan really are doing a good job. They really are. Max, can we start talking about them in terms of proper legacy yet? Are they one of the great IPL teams?
I think it might be going a bit far. They have to actually.
No.
Well, I mean, it's been half a season, and they've been amazing. They've swatted aside basically everything that's come their way, and they've been super impressive. But you got to do that over the course of a bit more than half a season to be considered a great side. They're certainly they're making strides towards that, improving on what they've been before. We've liked them for the last couple of years, right? They've had so much going on for them, so much good about them, but there's always been that a bit of a soft underbelly, I suppose, that teams have been able to get at, and they haven't got that this year, and it showed because chases like this, chases like the one the other day where Jaiswal scored 100. Yeah, they're rocking up and they're like that. That's piss easy, bread and butter for us, and so it proved again today, and they're super impressive. I mean, if you're coming up against Rajasthan Royals at the moment, you'll be trying to think about how you win the game, and probably coming up with not very many options, which is the sign of a good side. But they have to win the thing first. Like they'll make the playoffs, sure. Like that's pretty much in the bag now, right? But they've still then got to win a knockout game, and then win the ultimate knockout game, and then then maybe it all gets taken apart again next year, and suddenly it's been a 1 year legacy. Perhaps we'll see.
Yeah.
But
it could all be for nothing. I agree, Max. Yeah,
Yeah.
literally at the end of the tournament, you want to be having that trophy in your hands.
you want
And I
those
think
pink ribbons on the trophy.
you do. But at the moment, things are looking very, very good for Rajasthan, and I think they're playing some pretty good cricket as well.
Are they peaking at the wrong time? The classic question.
I bloody hope not.
Right. Anything else in this game, or do you want to move on?
We were supposed to see the return of Mayank Yadav in this game, so unless he's had a slight injury setback, that is worrisome, because we want to see the Rockets. So it's disappointing that he wasn't there. I've got some weird the way in which they're working at the moment, Super Giants. So the reason they lost this game was because King Legend and Huda consolidated for too long. If you look at kind of where they were after kind of 6 overs in the power play, they are not capitalizing on the power play like some of the other teams are.
I'll defend them a little bit here, right? Because it was swinging. Trent Bolt was on form. It was quite difficult, and I think, to be fair, KL Rahul did quite. I mean, he was 20 off 20 as per, but I think he did quite well. Starting the rebuild, and then he did speed up and tried to catch up. And I thought, given the situation they were in, he actually didn't do too badly. But yeah, the issue was then kicking on, wasn't it? And that didn't happen. And it wasn't just them. Like Nicholas Puran came in and hit 11 off 11, and that's he's the guy you're relying on to get a bit of impetus into it, and he didn't quite do that. And then they were sort of
you're just not going to beat this Royals team unless you take full advantage of that. If you compare their positions over the course of this tournament, actually it looked to be a little bit more progressive. And I get what you're saying around kind of it was in firefighting mode, right? If Kale gets out or Huda gets out, then the game is definitely over, and they still get to a competitive enough score. But against this Rajasthan Royals team, you need to be pushing kind of 220 to really be putting these guys under a bit of pressure, because actually they know they've got a lot of this stuff already in the locker. So yeah, it was just again one of those classic performances, right? Give Trent Bolt the new ball, he'll take a couple of wickets or whatever. Sandeep Sharma does the same at the other end, and they've got a really nice winning formula there. And I'm not sure how good a season Avesh Khan's having. That's the only bit at the moment where I'm a little bit not completely enamoured by Avesh Khan. But it's a good problem to have.
If Avesh Khan is like you say, if Avesh Khan is your worst bowler, you're a pretty good team. There are teams in this IPL where Avesh Khan might be their best bowler. RCB. And I think if he's your worst, then that's kind of okay. Yeah. Should we move on to the other game from yesterday, which was between Mumbai Indians and Delhi? Yeah. We billed this in the preview as a loser goes home type thing. And the news is, Max, that Delhi, they're not going home.
They're not.
They're still fighting.
They've been invited today.
Do you want to know how it happened? Jake Fraser McGurk got 84 off 27 balls. And then the rest of them, they just had to bat a little bit. They didn't even have to do anything special.
Shai Hope, 41 of 17 is quite good. Especially for Shai Hope. Right.
Got to give him that is quite good. That is quite good. And Tristan Stubbs 48 off 25. I'm not gonna turn my nose up at that as well either.
And also the way Tristan Stubbs hit his 48 of 25 was quite enjoyable as well. It's just
But
reverse
I've never seen those
everything.
shots. I've never seen those shots before. I don't think.
What
Just
was so
like
impressive?
like cricket shots that were from the future.
What was so impressive was how he managed to do it without actually getting bowled, because he was stepping outside off stump and hitting the ball back towards his stumps. Like, I was waiting for them all to splatter, and it never happened. Sorry, Jack. Carry
They
on.
did it. Okay. Some other guys did some stuff, but any time the guy opening the batting gets 84 at a strike rate of 311, you're in business. It doesn't really matter what happens after that. You're going to be the favourite for the game. That's my hot take on that. Mumbai go around the park again. Luke Wood this time, 68 off his 4 overs. Tashara, he was supposed to be the solution, 56.
He's just a bad
his
version of
4.
Patirana, isn't he?
Hardik Pandya saved himself really by not bowling a 3rd over, 41 from 2 overs for Hardik. Not great. Not great at all. In response, Mumbai Indians, they actually did okay. You know, like it could have been worse. They lose by 10 runs. I would say they were never properly in the game. Like, I never thought they were going to win it, but they did enough to maintain people's interest.
Yeah.
Tilak Varma, the standout, he gets 63 from 32.
You say that, Jack, though, but I don't know if you've heard what Hardik Pandya said after the game.
No, I didn't. What did he say? Let's move on to some analysis.
It was Tilak Varma's fault that they didn't win because he wasn't.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
Wasn't aggressive enough off Akshar Patel at the start of his innings. He took 7 singles of his first 7 balls off Akshar Patel before trying to attack him, and that's the reason that they didn't chase it down. It was his fault because he started too slowly.
I think you probably should look at the bowlers, mate, really, when you can see 257.
Yeah, right. Why did we lose a match? Is it A, because Tilak Varma hit a few singles off Akshar Patel, or B, because we conceded 257?
Yeah, what's that, like the 4th highest total of the IPL
And
this
you
year?
went for 20 and over, mate.
At least Harding actually hit some
second
runs. Yeah, Harding actually hit some runs this game, like striking at 190. So
it's the second time that they've gone for 250, I think, isn't it? I think if you're conceding,
Sunrisers took them for 278, didn't they?
Yeah, I think if you're conceding 250 regularly,
On
which
the
they
race.
are, yeah, twice in 9 matches, maybe you need to think about your bowling, come up with some plans there. I don't know.
I think that part, the makeup of their bowling team. I think if you were to look at what they've actually put into their team, it's actually been relatively similar. You've obviously got people coming in and out. Luke Wood will probably now not play for Mumbai Indians again. We kind of joked about it before, but he probably is not going to go, yep, we're going to go get it. But they played the child in a few of the games, and they've mixed and matched between Piyush Chawla and Gopal, not actually taking a risk to actually potentially play them both together and actually try something a little bit different. Mohammed Nabi has been pretty toothless. I think he took his first wicket of the IPL in this game. And sometimes you do run into a problem, and that Fraser McGurk was a problem for them because he could even take kind of down Bumrah right in that space, and he was very, very dismissive of him. And what I find interesting now is the narrative that was going to start to shift to the World Cup and the Australian team, because Fraser McGurk is making a question. You've got to take him. He's got to be there.
Cannot leave that out, right?
If
the potential upside is so high that you cannot possibly leave that out, right? It would be completely insane to do that. I mean, it's just so good. I mean, so we were talking about him in comparison to Will Jacks, right? A little while ago, and you're saying what Will Jacks did is even better than what we've seen Fraser McGurk doing, which I think is fair for that, 50 runs and 10 balls portion of it. But the thing about Jake Fraser McGurk is that he's doing it from ball 1, right? His 10 ball strike rate is 242. That's
pretty good.
That's mental. There's no one even close to that, in anywhere. He hit the fastest ever list A century in that game in Australia, and it was like, okay, that's pretty impressive, but is it a bit of hype? Like, was he playing against some farmers in a back garden? Hype's real, man. This guy is a thing.
Fraser McGood.
Fraser McGreat.
Fraser McGod.
That's the next level. Fraser McGod-like.
Yeah.
When he,
Mumbai-
wins,
Mumbai's-
when he wins the T20 World Cup single-handedly for Australia, we'll give him that title.
Are we nailing the nails into the coffin for Mumbai Indians IPL playoff hopes now? Because RCB
got the extra long nails out.
Yeah, RCB are already in the ground, right? They're buried, unfortunately. But Mumbai are, I think they're out the running, aren't they?
Yeah, they're 100%, and they have a tough run in as well. So they've got to play Lucknow twice, and Lucknow could have their fast bowler back, and that would probably be a bit of a problem for Mumbai. They've got to play Sunrisers and KKR twice. So they're playing they're all good teams. They have to win every single one of those. If they win every single match, they're definitely through. They've got that going for them because they can do some damage
in their hands
in the race. But are they going to do that? I am highly doubtful. Heavy.
But Delhi,
doubt.
the last time, fair play, Jack. You said the Delhi train is gathering momentum and they are chewing towards the playoffs. Where are you pinning your flags to them?
Well, I still don't think they're that good. If I'm honest, but
I mean, they also shipped 247 runs. It's not great.
but they purely because they basically turned their season into a 5-match season where if they win 3 out of 5, which even a bad team can and will do regularly, they're going to make the playoffs. In fact, is it 4 games? Maybe they have to win. Maybe they have to win 3 out of 4.
They've got 4 games left. So. And again, Rajasthan, LSG, KKR among them, so a bit.
Yeah, it's tough, but I could definitely see them pulling it off. Like, do I think they will do it? The answer is no. Do I think there's a 1 in 4 chance? Yeah, I do. I think there is definitely a non-zero possibility that McGurk is going to win 1, maybe even 2 of those matches by himself. Like, nobody can get him out, and unless you get him out early, you lose. That's what happens when you play Delhi. It doesn't matter what's going on with the bowling, you're going to lose. And then Kuldeep Yadav is having a good season. I know he got completely smashed in this game, but he's having a good season and he's capable of winning a match or 2 for them as well. So if you get 2 good performances out of McGurk and 2 good performances out of Kuldeep,
plus Delhi, a little bit of Rishabh Pant sprinkling on top. Yeah,
and you got Pant having a good year. You got Stubbs having a good year. There's a few guys in there who are playing at a level where they're not filler runs. When Tristan Stubbs gets a 50, that's changing the outcome of a match. Like, it's not Sai Siddharthan, oh, well batted, mate. Let's have a polite round of applause. You're like, holy shit, he's just invented a new shot. He's cooking.
How do you play that Tristan Stubbs shot? The one literally, he's playing like almost like it's not even a scoop shot. It's like just literally just planting his bat on a reverse angle, and it's going over the short fly slip almost, and you're just like, what the hell is that shot?
So
you'll be pretty confident about where you think the bowler's going to bowl for that as well.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess it's one of those ones where if you're playing at that level, maybe you just know more about cricket. Like, that's possible. I think it's one of those examples where it is actually quite difficult. A lot of the time, Virat Kohli is right when he says if you're sitting in the commentary box or you're in the press box or whatever and you're writing stuff about blah, 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 you don't know what you're talking about. And a lot of the time, Kohli is actually wrong when he says that. People can say, Virat Kohli, you're not good at playing against spin. And there's a factual basis to that statement. If Virat Kohli were to say people in the press box have got no idea how to play a reverse scoop to someone who can bowl 90 miles an hour, he'd be right, wouldn't he? Nobody's been there. And I think until you actually have been there in that kind of situation and you have pulled that off and you have worked out exactly where the bowler's going to bowl or had a premonition, then it is quite hard to say how's he got the balls basically to do that. So yeah, like, I don't know. Delhi, they've turned from crap to actually quite fun, and I wish them the best.
Yeah, they're just leaning into their strength.
Delhi fan.
They've got batting, so make the most of it. So I mean, that's sensible. So well done.
Right, we're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to wrap up the show with a few previews, and I'm going to take you through all of the main action from the County Championship.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast. It's time for County Championship Corner, and I'm doing it this time. And here's my news from the County Championship. It turns out that playing cricket in April in England is risky business. It's freaking cold.
Who
to begin with.
knew?
I'm so surprised
shocked.
people aren't breaking fingers left, right, and centre and slip in these games. Like, you don't want to be catching a ball going 80 miles an hour when it's 5 degrees. That's a stupid thing to do. It's a stupid thing to do. The upshot of it all, or the upshot of the conditions, mean that there's basically no chance of any results except probably in the Surrey game, where Surrey need 5 wickets to beat Hampshire. There's been a few runs scored. Worcestershire getting 450 before a biblical flood has more or less ended that game against Somerset, and Northamptonshire 453 before the same thing happened in Leicester. And for people on England cricket team watch, there was good news for the middle order. Joe Root 119 off 190, and Harry Brook 126 not out off 135 balls. So the future is safe as far as the English summer goes.
Joe
That's
got
pretty
a
much.
scoop out as well, didn't he?
Did he? I didn't
Yeah.
see that. I didn't see that specifically, but that's good to hear.
There's
That's
also
going to cause rage this summer, so I'm glad. I'm glad that we need talking points like that in the game. Ross, what are you going to say?
Well, there's news from the subcontinent, Jack. The Pakistan team have announced their new coaching staff.
Oh,
and,
yes.
They've split the management role. So you've got a test coach. Jason Gillespie is going to be the coach for Pakistan's test team. Not
Pretty
nice
good.
appointment.
That's a coup, that is.
And it gets better. Their white ball coach, Gary Kirsten. That is a decent duo. So for T20,
Basically,
and
the
white,
two people
and
that England
ODI.
have been after for about 5 years.
Yeah, so
Here's the question.
Yeah, go on.
When one of them underperforms, are they going to fire them both, or are they going to fire just the one that underperforms?
Job swap, perhaps.
Yeah.
That might be what they.
Or
end up
they'll
doing.
just fire the other one by mistake.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, they could just. Which of these white dudes? We'll get rid of this one. I think that's the right one. So yeah, I think.
And then bring in
it's
Ms.
gonna-
Barulhak.
Yeah, quite possibly. It'd be interesting to see if either of them end up kind of like actually going to Pakistan, or they're just going to try and run it from their laptops, like they tried to do with Mickey Arthur for a little while. But it remains to be seen. So the Pakistan team is delivering yet again. So yeah, brilliant. Let's get back to the IPL, shall we? Where Delhi will be playing Kolkata Knight Riders tomorrow, won't they?
But one last thing on Pakistan. Aren't they currently losing a T20 series to like
The New Zealand D team.
Yeah, like Auckland. It's not even it's like one city in New Zealand are currently comprehensively beating the Pakistan team.
It's 2-2 at the moment.
Oh, is it 2-2? They were
Is
2.
that also where we saw one of the most bizarre clips of batting anyone's ever seen in cricket?
Tim Seifert, Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. Right, yeah, but let's KKR defeat Delhi tomorrow, Ross. Who's going to win?
I think this is a really interesting one, purely the fact that KKR have had their confidence knocked a little bit, and their bowling lineup's confidence, I think, is there to be got at, and it's quite an interesting one because I think their bowling's pretty good, especially in the spin department. Chakravarti and Narain, it's really difficult to say that any other team has got 2 better spin bowlers. So you can say that Ashwin and Chahal were a decent combination. You could argue that anyone who's going to have Hardik. What's his name? Kuldeep Yadav in their team, like Delhi do, then there's kind of going to be options, but they've obviously got Lalit Yadav as well, which is also a problem. So I'm thinking here that Delhi versus KKR, this could be one of the matches of the tournament for me. I think that they've both got blistering batting lineups. Their
It's got all the
confidence,
makings of a run fest, doesn't it?
it has, and I think that both teams' bowling lineups, other than Narain, are very, very questionable in that space. So I'm actually really looking forward to this one. And I think, this could be an absolute doozy. Is it going to be a 260 game? Based upon the pitches that we're seeing and the balls that we're seeing and the people who are actually involved in this, in Narain, Salt, Fraser McGood, Pan, etc., I think there's a lot to be said that this could be an absolute high-scoring masterclass. I think just because of the Narain factor, KK have an edge here, and I think that they will return to winning ways. Is where I'd be if I was a betting man.
Max, is Stark going to come back for KKR?
Oh, that's a good question, isn't it? I mean,
Surely.
I mean,
You should never be. You should never be
Kamira
dropped.
didn't go that well, did it? So I'd bring him back. I said stick with him anyway last time. I'd say bring him back. But I'm also leaning KKR, as Ross says. I think it could have a high scoring thriller written all over it, but I think KKR will have the edge because their bowling is a bit better.
Cool. On Tuesday, it's Lucknow Super Giants v Mumbai Indians. I had a look at this on the betting markets and win predictions and stuff. Mumbai are the favourites. How are Mumbai the favourites away from home in a Lucknow?
Get your money on Lucknow.
With how they've been playing this season, how they've been bowling this year. I can't get my head around that. It's obviously, I'm not saying here that Lucknow are a banker to win, but I don't think Mumbai Indians are the favourites to win a. I was going to say the favourites to win a raffle, but that's not how raffles work. No one's really the favourite to win a raffle, are they? So,
depends how many tickets.
Probably some raffles. I think.
Is it a tombola where you're guaranteed to win something? Is that the?
I think so. Yeah. So I don't know. Anyone got any strong thoughts on this? I think we'll see. I think Lucknow are going to win. I hope we see if we see
Mayank
back in action. I want them to put it up, Mumbai Indians. I want Mumbai Indians to properly crash and burn. That's what I want to see this year. It's a great narrative. Hardik has screwed the pooch. He had the God Squad and he's fucked it. That is great fun. And now he's going to have to go to the World Cup and probably screw India's chances as well. It's going to be a historic 4 months of failure for Hardik Pandya.
He ends up having to be he gets ostracized and actually becomes like a monk in the Himalayas or something like that, completely shunned from things. When Mumbai Indians were playing against Rajasthan Royals, I said that there's only a couple of teams in this tournament who I think can actually deal with the Bumrah factor quite effectively. And I think actually Lucknow's team can actually do that. I think they've got the actual batting talent who've got people like KL Rahul, Quinton de Kock, etc., who can actually have the defensive technique as well as the attacking intent to actually balance it out. So I think Lucknow definitely have a chance in this. But there is definitely a Mumbai factor when every single person thinks that they're down and out, they can pull off something pretty incredible. And my view on that is that when you've got Suryakumar Yadav, you've got Jasprit Bumrah, you've got Rohit Sharma, like the possibilities there, I can see why people think that they are the favourites here because of just that star power that they do have.
Sure. On Wednesday, Max, it's Chennai Super Kings back in action against the Punjab Kings. Now, this one, Chennai are the favourites and they should be the favourites. They're playing at home. How are Punjab going to entertain us? What comedy tricks are they going to turn to thrill the audience for this game?
I reckon they're going to put in one of the worst batting displays in the history of the IPL. In a chase of about 190. They're just going to completely fall flat on their face and be like 50 for 7 after 10 overs. And then drag it out because it's Wednesday and we'll be podcasting and we'll be going, can't this just end so we can get on early and get this over and done with so we can talk about the fantastic games that happened on Monday and Tuesday. I think it's going to be not dissimilar from today, probably, but with a Punjab side that could go even more wrong.
I think the opposite. I think
it's going to be best round 2.
Actually, look, I'm going to do 2 things here. One, Max, I can completely see your logic of where it's coming from because they've climbed their Everest, right? They've literally just chased down the highest score ever. Their season is over, and they're just like, do you know what, lads? Let's just go and have a laugh. The other point for me is where I think that they actually have a bowling lineup that could actually work at the Chepauk this season. You saw it today in terms of like the Desh Pandays of the world, the Lord Tukurs, etc. Harshal Patel is the purple cap holder. He might be going around the park, but they do have a bowling lineup with Sam Curry.
Is he actually the purple cap holder?
So
about
Phil
11
Salt,
and over.
Yeah, Phil Salt put his hat on him. So I think there is a little bit here that they could do it, and it's I think going to be a really interesting game here because I think if you look at the games that some of the other playoff contenders have, like CSK need to win this game. Like I think it's
Yeah.
a really important game
Massive.
for CSK. Otherwise, they get dragged into that quagmire, and one or two things that don't go their way over the course of the next kind of 3 games after that, or 4 games after that. That is risky business. You open the door, and when you're playing against a bottom dweller like Punjab, regardless of how much of a lottery they are, you have to take the points that are on offer. So, yeah, a really important game, and I think it's a little bit closer than people will give it credit for.
All right, fair enough. Should we wrap up the pod?
Sounds good. Thank you very much
Cool,
for
we'll be
watching, everybody.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone. Make sure you click and like and subscribe. Make sure you click follow. We will be back on Wednesday talking about those games and doing a little preview of the matches that are coming up as we head towards the business end of the 2024 IPL. Goodbye.